Morning. Got a special guest today joining us for the read. Hi, Grace. We're gonna read the newspapers that you get together. Still on its sleeve. A little bit, a little wet today. A little frozen-ish when I picked it up because of. Oops, sorry, I'm gonna cover your face there. A little frozen, a little wet, just because a little bit kind of weather conditions today. Right, Grace? Lower this slightly here. And now we're going to take it out of the sleeve and get started. All right. Let's see what's on the store here. This is the second day in a row that the New York Times has led or has put above the fold, Grace, a highlighted document. This is today's. I happen to have yesterday's. So happen to have yesterday's front page right here. Similarities. So you know how we do though. We save the times for second. Okay, we're gonna do. Yep. We're gonna do the Inquirer first. Wait a minute. I'll take it all back. They gave me another January 12th for some strange reason. Maybe because I thought that was kind of an odd thing. They gave me a second January 12th, a freshie. Maybe because I told them I had a delivery issue with the 11th paper, and they mistakenly gave me another copy of the 12th paper when I asked for another copy of the 11th paper, because that's one they didn't deliver to me on the 11th. But I have another one on the 12th and the 13th. Anyway, I'm just going to put the copy of the 12th that I don't really need to the side. And we'll take a look at the Inquirer. What do you think, Grace? We got a bonus edition of the Times today, although we already had it. All right. Section separation. Oh. Front page on the Inquirer today. GOP trio. Impeach Trump. Region, Grace. It's kind of a silly picture of some strange animals climbing upon that woman. What's going on there? A Rosebridge Farm and Sanctuary in Dresser. Visitors can bond with rescued animals. Caitlin Cook of Levittown met some curious goats while visiting Rose Bridge with her family. You see, Gracie, there's goats climbing on Caitlin. Below, Lindsay Harris fed a baby goat. Passed the sweater little one to her cousin, Natalie Demon, for a cuddle. Okay. Life. More talk about Bridgerton. Getting a lot of press. I haven't watched it. And then sports. Let's go right to sports. Make it fast, right, Grace? Let's get it over with. We know the Sixers won last night. We know Embiid dropped 45 in OT victory. Then we can actually find out how many blocks he had, if any. I don't think he did. Danny Green also had a big day. I saw last night on Twitter right before I go to sleep. His stat line's pretty sick. I don't have it here, but when I turn the page, I'll uncover it, I'm sure. Sky's the limit for Carter Hart. I'm excited to see him. I'm trying to see how he might have grown since this is a rookie season last year. Maybe it was his second year. I don't know. What do you think, Liz? I'm not sure. Left winger James Van Riemsdyk says Carter Hart reminds him of his former Toronto teammate Austin Matthews. No Hart, the Flyers' on-the-rise goaltender, hasn't suddenly developed the dazzling offensive skills that Matthews possesses, but he does have the same driven attitude. The thing with Hartsey, I think he is so mature beyond his years. Gotta love this hockey stuff. Like, only in hockey, like, do they have all these, like, kind of Hartsey, Jonesy kind of nicknames for people. It's like Hart doesn't need to be shortened, but they got to tack that SY on the end. I kind of compare him to Austin Matthews. As good as he is, and as good as he was coming into the league, he is not satisfied. As much success he has had so far, he wants to be the best player in the league. He's always thinking about ways he can get better and things he can improve on. All athletes, I feel like, should be doing that, but I'm glad Carter Hart is. Who's 11-1? It's clear the next coach is up to Carson Wentz. Another Marcus Hayes take. Coach wanted, send resume to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz will hire the next coach. It makes sense. After all, he fired the last one. You tell him, Marcus. Jeffrey Lurie said as much. Made this plan Monday when he ushered Doug Peterson out the door and patted him on the back with a hand wearing the only Super Bowl ring Lurie ever owned. Okay. I'm trying to find some non-oldish news, non-oldish takes. Uber confusing night. Report on Simmons' ride out of New York got it wrong, Rivers said. Quarantine necessity wasn't clear. Doc Rivers confirmed that Ben Simmons used a car service to return to Philadelphia area following Thursday night's loss to Brooklyn Nets at the Barclays Center. The 76ers coach added that the story wasn't reported the way it sounds. The squad remained in New York following the game to quarantine in a hotel following that night's game after Seth Curry tested positive for COVID. As a result, the Sixers stayed to conduct contact tracing. A report by Yahoo Sports that Simmons got a driver and went back to the Philly area without the Sixers' knowledge, only to return when the team discovered he didn't stay in New York. Obviously, that night we were all in a little disarray, Rivers said. A bunch of guys were ordering cars because we all did think we could go back home. Rivers called Simmons while the two-time All-Star was on his way home. He told Simmons he couldn't go home because of NBA protocols. He just turned around and came back. So, I don't read the media reports, but I heard the way it sounded was like it was something of a bad thing. It wasn't. It was just the way it was. He had to go back to see Kardashian. Isn't that who he's going out with? Is it Kardashian? It is a Kardashian, isn't it? Khloe, Kim, Kylie, Kendall, Kathy, Karen. We are ready, Claude Giroux says, as the Flyers begin a 56-game sprint by facing their rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, tonight. 5:30. Nice. Want to watch a little of that game with me? Flyers, Penguins tonight? All right. Weather conditions in the region today, 47. Grace, if my foot continues to progress as it is, could I actually get it into a bike shoe today? Yeah, I know. I might be able to. Okay. Rapinoe speaks out on storming the Capitol. No, she hasn't played a soccer game since March. Megan Rapinoe's star power is plenty big enough for her to make an impact from the sideline. Just in case anyone forgot how big the impact can be when she's with the U.S. national team, she gave a classic reminder on Tuesday. It's just striking how horrible it was, just how insane it was. Rapinoe said on a Zoom call that attracted nearly 100 journalists from around the world. The climate in the country being such that we have, our political leaders, our chief political leader, inciting an actual, real-life, murderous, and deadly insurrection against his own government, against his own people, against his own party. Hopefully this is the last letter that we needed to rip off, although it's been abundantly clear for a number of hundreds of years that what the real issue is. This is about white supremacy and holding up white supremacy, and hope that we can see this and move forward with justice. Unleashing a white supremacist mob is nothing new to America. People of color, black and brown, know that very well. You go, Rapinoe. You go. Okay. Moving on. Life, Grace. See? I love you. Okay. Indoor dining is returning, but will restaurants bite? It's top spots for self-care items in Philly area if you need some pampering. Caroline, want to see what? Here's a parent trip today. Let's see what new parents we got on tap. Want to check out these new parents, Grace? See what kind of stat lines they got. I missed Danny Green's stat line. Speaking of stat lines, but I know he had a big day. Look it up. Danny Green is like 29 points, 16 rebounds or something. Like a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of good numbers. Parent trip: Chanel Fuller, 38, and Paul Fuller, 40, of Mount Airy. Children: Evie Louise and Joelle Isabella, 10 months. Adopted December 3rd, 2020. Congratulations to Chanel and Paul adopting a child. Oh, here's Carolyn. Let's see what kind of question she's gonna take on today, right, Grace? Yesterday, she took that one person to town. Took them to task. Gave them the business. I'm doing my best to stay home and not risk getting COVID-19. My dear husband works in a grocery store, but he's faithful about mask wearing. So far, so good. I have faith in masks, but think it may still be possible to catch the virus while wearing one. My problem is that my mother-in-law wants to come to dinner every 2 weeks or so. Sounds familiar. I think she believes God has his hand over us, and we are safe. No COVID for this group. You can actually go to a room infested with COVID people, all positives, wander about shaking hands, giving mouth kisses, and you will be okay, because I deem it so. It's like the most dangerous people. I don't share that conviction. Good, because you're sane. She is starting to resent me for speaking up and refusing to come. And really, what difference does it make if my husband goes over and then brings the virus back to me? She's pro-mask, but won't wear one. Then how is she pro-mask? Masks are great for everybody else but me. am I here? It's always difficult to kind of keep track when I start commentating, and then I get back to my place in line here. Doing some highlighting. Oh no, she's also deaf and gets irritated with me when she can't understand me through the mask. Oh, this is getting complicated. My husband, father-in-law, and sister-in-law are no help. They have always catered to her demands. What do I do? I'm not trying to have a power play here, but I don't want this virus, and I don't want her to get it either. I feel like I'm being an ass when I hold my ground. But I also believe it is the right thing to do. What do you think? Carolyn says, it is the right thing to do. There's no belief element to it. There is a virus, and there are facts, and you're right. Hear, hear. That's why you're not being an ass when you hold your ground. You're being a hero. You're loving, sensible, rational, brave, patriotic, strong as hell, borrowing a phrase, total freaking warrior. I am sorry your heroics are being undermined, possibly someday negated, once per fortnight. But that doesn't mean you should cave. For one thing, your strength is an important example, a standing opportunity for the others to stop putting self-interest and wishful thinking ahead of pandemic necessity. Don't succumb and make it easy for them to maintain their denial. Exist as counter-pressure, even just through your absence. This is a hard ask, and I'm sorry. But you get it, and anyone who grasps pandemic reality bears the added responsibility of living it. For another thing, as your grocery employee husband proves, some don't have the luxury of living the epidemiologist's dream, and the alternative is not to throw up our hands and declare the effort hopeless. It's to recognize that when all precautions aren't possible, the possible precautions become all the more urgent. People who can be vigilant must be for those who can't or won't. And if it helps, here's the we Americans apparently like to think we live in our own silos version. Think of each discrete COVID-19 risk we take as a brick. And imagine stacking these bricks on each other each time we take such a risk. A stack of 0 may be impossible, but keeping our own stacks as small as possible, choice by choice, day by day, that is possible. And it helps. So keep talking your spread prevention measures, everyone you can, and boost your communication in writing with your mother-in-law. A newsy daily email, a running group text, Zoom business with an assist from the chat feature. Impairments compound isolation, so please offer her safe ways to ease it. Oh, it's a good idea. There's a reason why you're employed as the advice columnist, Caroline. You get good ideas. Today's horoscopes for Scorpio. Why not? See what they tell me I'm going to be doing today, or what's going to be on the docket for me today. You'll be making decisions about family and private life. Okay, I always do. You'll be evaluating your residence with care and deciding whether to keep it or improve it. No, I'm not going to be moving. You learn some interesting facts about family members. Okay. As if I care. Do not act out any of their characteristics, just your own. That's good advice. Life. Done. Region Grace. We're going to do a region. Okay. PA Police to resume tracking data. After 9-year haul, state agency will collect information on traffic stops for possible race bias. You like that article? I'm going to skip that one. Police keep showing us who they are. Commentary by Helen Ubinas. I know Shira Goodman. The regional director of the Anti-Athletic League on Good Day Philadelphia today. Fox 29. I had that going. My other monitor here, I got the morning news going, as you can see. A few bad apples, we're often told. Their words and actions tell a different story. All right, Helen. See what you're going to say about this. Real fast. The sight of the capital Q may have been new, but the smell of democracy's decline certainly wasn't. Last week's harrowing episodes reeked of the odor that arises whenever bad actors are exposed to politics, or in politics, or law enforcement. You're not interested in reading this article? Ignore the stench of institutional riot. Defenders of crooked cops and corrupt politicians have always told the public, institutions shouldn't be judged by a few bad apples, quote unquote. And so they turn into terrorists, I guess. And even then, in many accounts of the Capitol siege, this small army of fanatical followers of a wannabe tyrant were often described as invaders. Except that implies the threat was only coming from the outside. All right. You want to get out of here? You want to move on? You've had enough of the read today? I'm going to put you on the moon pod. Here. Can I put you there? Is that all right? You okay? I might need some backup. Get my sidekick to a different location. You okay over there for now? Okay. I'm going to still read to you, though. See, that's you right there. In fact, it was already inside, wearing law enforcement uniforms, as they pushed Gates aside for their co-conspirators, waving them through, posing for selfies, and providing them with directions to lawmakers' offices as if directing a middle school field trip. A video has surfaced showing that weeks before the Capitol siege, a Republican lawmaker let in right-wing rioters who stormed the Oregon Capitol. No good, Grace. Even if it's just like, let's say, not every single Capitol police officer was like, come on in. But even just a few. It's the optics. I love that word, but they don't look good. The investigations are ongoing, even as lawmakers brace for assassination attempts, but already several U.S. Capitol police officers have been suspended. 5 people are dead, including in Capitol. This is the back page where they continued it. I figured I'd show it to you because there's a little bit of a picture here of another article by Jennifer Gugger. To look and see what she tweeted about. Oh, there it is. Give me a second, though. Including a Capitol police officer after he was overpowered and beaten by rioters. At least one Secret Service officer is under investigation after posting comments on Facebook expressing support for rioters and accusing lawmakers who formalized Joe Biden's win of treason. In Philadelphia, as my colleagues have reported, a police detective and apparent QAnon enthusiast, judging by her Facebook profile, that's our girl Jennifer Gugger, has been temporarily reassigned after a tip that she attended a rally in Washington. Hey, Kirst. I'm trying to get my wife up here to assist me with Grace's finickiness right now. She seems to be not interested in the read today. Am I not reading as slowly and peacefully as you'd like? I'm being too animated? I'm not animated enough. It's hard to tell. Alright, we get it all. I mean, I can keep going, but I'm curious about these tweets here. This is Gugger. And that's Pence. Pence goes, Karen and I were deeply saddened to learn of the passing of U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian D. Sicknick and send our deepest sympathies and prayers to his family, friends, and fellow officers. Tweet. Gugger tweets back, you're a traitor and a cable operative and pedophile. You preach of God and that God will judge you. What's was in the envelope in George Bush's funeral? You're a swamp creature and fooled us all. Like, I'm reading this and I'm like, am I seeing the correct words on this page? I'm sorry. I'm just baffled. I'm speechless. How do you come up with how do you land on your truth being that your politicians are your opposing party has, or even Pence, who's not her opposing party, is composed of serial secret pedophiles and cable operatives who bring envelopes of shady contents to a funeral, and are actually in reality behind their human faces swamp creatures. Like, what exactly could you? How could you possibly think like, okay, oh, that makes sense. I'm gonna get on board with that philosophy. Like, come on. Yeah. You want to grab her? She's a little bit antsy. Try to get our read on together, but she's not. She's not interested. I don't know. Thank you. I love you. Thanks. All right, well, our special guest is gonna, 26 minutes in, give us a little bit of time to maybe focus more on the paper today. Those who have kids out there, it's a juggling act. Quiet time now. Whew. A little bit of a headache this morning. I'll fight it off. Seriously though, how does somebody present to you the concept like, listen, let me tell you something. I got a big tip. I got a really juicy tip here. Don't tell anyone else, but there's a couple websites, a couple forums, a couple chat groups. They know the truth about the Republicans. Some of them, but all the Dems. They're really, get this, they're really swamp creatures with a skin shell that they zip up from the navel, which you can't see because they have another piece of skin that covers over top of the zipper. So we got to get together, expose this. And not only that, they are abusing children all over the White House, all over the Capitol, all over on the House floor. I've actually seen. I've heard. I haven't seen it, but I've heard. And then how does somebody be like, sounds logical, sign me up? Are people who passed today. Richard Glass, Eileen Glazenki, 83. Mr. Kevin Francis Hirsch passed away at his home in Charleston, South Carolina. He was actually, looks like a pretty big deal. He grew up in nearby Donora, PA. He was born in Charleroi, PA. I don't know that part of town. 86, Mr. Kenny Francis, Lafayette Hill. Navy veteran, Villanova fan, Michael Killian, 91. Neil McClure, 75, of Havertown. He was born in Philly to late Neil and Madge McClure. He graduated from West Catholic High School and enrolled in Drexel University, but then enlisted in the Air Force and served a tour in Vietnam. After returning, he finished his degree at Drexel, which helped him earn a job at Conrail, where he worked for 34 years until his retirement. He always said he was born to be retired, and he spent that time at home and with his devoted family, who will miss him dearly. You chill, dude. Just gazing through ages, I like to see if there's any younger folks. Not that the older folks want to be mourned as well, but I just kind of am interested if there's any. There doesn't seem to be. We got all 80 pluses here. Rest in peace. What the front page? Front section. Oh. City readies next phase of vaccination. Jump GOP true, as we said. Impeach Trump. Who's saying that? Liz Cheyney of Wyoming, third-ranking House Republican. Representative John Katko of New York, top Republican on the House Homeland Security Committee. And we're joined by Adam Kinzinger, Republican, Illinois. Quote, the President of the United States summoned this mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame of its attack, Cheyney said in the statement, adding, there's never been a greater betrayal by a President of the United States of his office and his oath to the Constitution. Katko's language was similarly strong. To allow the President of the United States to incite this attack without consequences is a direct threat to the future of our democracy. This isn't an over-exaggeration either. People need to understand, like, this isn't a political thing. I mean, sure it is. It's because it's happening in Washington, D.C. with politicians. So by fact, objectively, the nature of the situation involves political actors. But to me, it's not like, the Dems are trying to twist the story to suit their narrative. It's really about this, although, Gugger and her ilk may want to believe that it's all the fault of the swamp people. But this happened. There's video of it. People died. I mean, what do you want me to say? What more do you want to know? Watch the tape. States balking at new rules to curb spread, even as cases of fatalities soar. Officials and say fresh restrictions will be problematic. We simply cannot stay closed until the vaccine hits critical mass. The cost is too high. We will have nothing left to open. Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York. Oh, here you go. I was talking about before that there's groups of vaccine priorities. 1A, 1B, 1C. I don't even see 1B includes, according to the Delco, 1B, 1C, 1A, whatever lists, education staff was in 1B. Here we go. Child care education providers. 1B. There's that picture of the deranged character again. Being tackled by the police. I've shared this guy's picture so many times. They keep repurposing it, republishing it because it's classic. It's such a great representation. It really is. Good job, Jessica Griffin, staff photographer. FBI report warned of war at Capitol. I think we already saw that. A report from the Virginia office cited specific calls for violence, including, we get our president or we die. A day before rioters stormed Congress, an FBI office in Virginia issued an explicit internal warning that extremists were preparing to travel to Washington and to commit violence and, quote, war. According to an internal document reviewed by the Washington Post, it contradicts the senior official's declaration that the Bureau had no intelligence indicating anyone at last week's pro-Trump protest planned to do harm. You know they're going to uncover whatever sort of communication or warnings that you may have issued, however covert or internally. Somebody's going to uncover that, whether it's a whistleblower type or it's somebody who knows somebody. He's like, let me ask you, is this adding up for you? And then that person's like, no, I work in that area, so I know. just come out and say the truth. Sorry, I gotta blow my nose. Don't mind me. I'm gonna go off camera. Microchip shortage hurts auto industry. A global semiconductor tightness has caused a crunch for some, forcing a ripple of disruptions. Automakers in North America are beginning to feel the effects of a global shortage of semiconductors that has caused a crunch for manufacturers worldwide. Ford Motor Company is idling its Louisville assembly plant in Kentucky this week due to a supplier part shortage connected to the semiconductor shortage. Ford builds its Escapes and Lincoln Co-Star SUVs in Louisville. I'm also dealing with a part delay for a part for my repair to my car. It's been at the body shop since December 8th. All it needs is an engine cradle because I hit like a high curb. I don't even know if it needs it, but the body shop says it does. I'm not going to argue. I've been waiting for the engine cradle since mid-December. It's not supposed to arrive till January 21st. Because of a part shortage. And that part's not really in high demand, I guess. So they make, and I drive a Volvo, so it's, I guess, because it's coming from Sweden, and I don't know. Maybe it's not obviously a part that many people get for their Volvos or need for their Volvos. But that's why I was particularly drawn to that shortage of parts, car parts article. It hits home. Op-eds and letters of the editor, we made to the last kind of section here. Social media platforms need clearer guidelines on who gets banned. By Lauren Gordon. I don't disagree. Again, I've said before they can ban whoever they want in private businesses, but it would be good for their own, reputation, customer service, customer positioning themselves as that type of a consumer-friendly service to really explain and lay out what leads you to see ya, you're no longer on this service. When are you going to get a ban? And I know they do that. I mean, I know there's, I'm sure a comprehensive list of what is not permitted. I know that exists. It's just I wonder if they need to, now with Trump being kicked off, they need to do a specific dedicated PR campaign around this. I wonder. Following last week's deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol, Twitter and many other social media platforms have booted President Donald Trump. We know that. Initially, I relished in the cacophony of hysterical memes and tweets that emerged from the news. It felt like just desserts. But while anyone who has ever read the First Amendment can tell you that Trump's freedom of speech wasn't infringed upon because Twitter and their ilk are privately owned companies, I've been saying this for days, this prohibition can have far-reaching and troubling consequences, and not just for White House occupants. Jennifer, I keep calling her Jennifer because I keep thinking of Jennifer Gugger. Gotta get Jennifer Gugger off the mind. Lauren Gordon, a Philly native, has written for various Philadelphia publications such as Philly Weekly and Jump Philly. She also served as the assistant editor for Philadelphia Row Home magazine. Influencers have claimed that book deals, revenue streams, and other things social media can dictate can come to a grinding halt over some follower, quote, reporting a post calling out white supremacy or a fat roll being visible in a shirt. Am I good? I think I'm good. Maybe I shouldn't be having my whiskey business. Is that bad? It's just fun. It's a fun kind of play on words. Take, for example, what happened to plus-size black model Naomi Nicholas Williams. Photographer Alexander Cameron captured artistic photos of Nicholas Williams where she was fully covered but alluded that she was topless. Hours after she posted the photo, which didn't violate Instagram's terms of service, the model received a notice that her photo was deleted and her account could be shut down. Millions of people Millions of pictures of very naked, skinny white women can be found on Instagram every day, Nicholas Williams told The Guardian. But a fat black woman celebrating her body is banned? It was shocking to me. I feel like I'm being silenced. Okay. Let's see who wrote in today. Letters to the editor. Susan McBride from Philly. Eagles need new owner, not coach. Pandemic phobia and septa. Marcia G. Lowe. Patricia B. Underwood, Hannaffield. Brush with violence. Spur gun legalization changes. Bill Moyer, Wayne. Put up or shut up. Every senator and representative should be individually required to affirm the rightful election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as president and vice president, respectively, or else they should be required to show absolute proof that they were not duly elected. If they refuse or cannot do either, they should be barred from serving in Congress because their oath to abide by the U.S. Constitution is null and void, and they should be disqualified to serve. Tom Tauber, Lansdowne, contributing to media distrust. It is gratifying to read in Mark Thiessen's Sunday column that he is now abandoning the unswerving support he has been giving Donald Trump for all these years. He correctly lays the blame for the January 6th insurrection at the president's feet, but Mr. Thiessen's conversion on the road to Damascus is only partial. He writes that a poll has found 83% of Americans believe there is bias in news coverage, but he conveniently omits that not the entire media landscape bears responsibility for this. News outlets like Fox News and Mr. Thiessen's own pieces have substantially contributed to those beliefs. After all, it is the president who accuses so-called lamestream media of publishing, quote, fake news and calls them, quote, enemies of the people. And then, it wasn't long ago that in one of his columns in this paper, Mr. Thiessen gave Mr. Trump advice on how he could become president again in 2024. We finished. We finished the Inquirer. 42 minutes. All right. I'm going to call it a day. And on the Inquirer, let's stop back later for a read of the New York Times. Right now, I have to. I actually might come back, but I'm going to stop the stream and I can restart one with a Times review. Either now or in the future. Either way, I hope you'll join me. Thanks for reading with me this morning, the Inquirer, and see you soon. Have a great day. Until then.